Live from the Sky News Centre, this is Sky World News.
These are the top stories. Asian markets, including the Dow Jones and London's FTSE index, have fallen sharply in the last 24 hours over fears about the state of the US and Chinese economies. The United Nations is warning that the number of people killed by flooding in Pakistan could rise further if those displaced by the waters don't receive aid quickly. And wildfires sweeping through western Russia have scorched forests contaminated by the 1986 Chernobyl nuclear disaster. There are fears radiation could spread as a result. Zambian authorities have arrested a 34-year-old Namibian businesswoman for trafficking cocaine. They say the woman was arrested at Lusaka Airport and found to have $250,000 worth of cocaine inside her body. She'd been on a flight from Brazil. Now let's cross to Summit TV.
Hello and good morning. I'm Jennifer Sue from Summit TV, and here's a look at how the bourses were last trading across the African continent. In southern Africa, Botswana's domestic index was 0.1% weaker. South Africa's all-share index shed 1.63%. The LUSE in Zambia gained 0.15% on the day. Over to West Africa, where Ghana's all-share gained close on 2%. Ivory Coast Composite was slightly weaker, while Nigeria's all-share shed 1.26%. Over to East Africa, where Kenya's NSE was down 1.5%, Mauritius Semdex fell 0.19%, and Uganda's composite was unchanged. Let's take a look at the currencies markets this morning. In southern Africa, $1 buys you 6.61 Botswana Pula, 7.26 South African Rands, and 4,823 Zambian Kwacha. Over to West Africa, where you pay almost 1.42 Ghanaian cedi a dollar, just more than 488 Ivory Coast francs, and just over 149 Nigerian naira for the greenback. And finally, in East Africa, you'll get 77.31 Kenyan shillings for a dollar, over 28 Mauritian rupees, and more than 2,168 Ugandan shillings for $1. In South Africa, where there's more strike action underway, this time it's hit the motor industry. Workers are demanding a 15% increase. Employers are offering just 7%. Now, among the other demands, 6 months maternity leave and reduced working hours. About 31,000 workers took to the streets. That hit the likes of BMW, Toyota, VW, and Ford. Pundits have called for a swift resolution to the strikes. They say the economy just can't afford another bout of mass action. Vehicle production is the second biggest industry in SA. It's just emerged from recession and is struggling to remain competitive. Workers say they'll stay out until their demands are met. And one for Naomi Campbell now. Well, a massive sale of diamonds is getting underway in Harare. Zimbabwe wants to sell 4.5 million carats stockpiled from its Marange fields. It estimates they're worth around $1.7 billion. The first batch, around 900,000 carats, went on auction today at Harare Airport. Buyers flew in from the U.S., Israel, Russia, Lebanon, and India, and quickly flew out again. Zim has been forced to stockpile since last year. The blood diamond watchdog, the Kimberley Process, banned sales. That's while it investigated claims of human rights abuse at Marange. The ban's now been lifted. Moving over to West Africa now, and Nigeria is planning to build a $3.5 billion electricity grid. Now, the so-called supergrid is to be completed in 4 years. The government's looking to private investors and international funders to help pay for it. Demand for power in Nigeria is currently almost double supply, and blackouts happen daily. Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan says he'll present plans later this month to reorganize the country's power industry. Taking a look at regional news in brief, ExxonMobil has lifted the force majeure status on shipments from its Kuba Ibo terminal in Nigeria. It's called force majeure 3 months ago after discovering a leak on one of the pipelines into the terminal. There's a boost for Extract Resources, the Australian explorer in which a Rio Tinto holds big stakes, while it says the Rossing South deposit in Namibia holds 10 times more uranium oxide than it previously estimated. And Bharti Airtel has completed its purchase of Zane's African assets and expects to integrate the businesses by the end of the year. And that's a look at your African business news. Reporting for Summit TV in Johannesburg, I'm Jennifer Sue. Now back to you at the Sky News Centre in London.
Now let's have a look at the currencies. Asian markets have followed Wall Street's tumble. US stocks erased the year's gains in the broadest sell-off in 6 weeks amid fears of sustained global economic stagnation. Investors' gloom deepened a day after the Federal Reserve said it would begin buying government bonds as a way to stimulate the economy. The Dow dropped 265 points. The Asahi Shimbun reports that China is flexing its military muscle with the construction of airfields designed to train pilots for the country's first aircraft carriers. The South China Morning Post shows soldiers spraying disinfectant 4 days after the landslide that killed more than 1,000 people in northeast China. The Sydney Morning Herald says that the Australian government has bought $270 billion of water that doesn't exist. The government spent over $1 billion to help irrigate dried up rivers. The Daily Nation says that according to a new poll, Kenyans have lost faith in their clergy, with only 19% saying they truly trust church leaders. The Sowetan reports that 20 illegal miners were shot dead by guards at a mine owned by relatives of Nelson Mandela and Jacob Zuma.
Witness says Stephen Pienaar was the heartbeat of the team, but it was scorer Katlego Mfela who stole the show. Witness says Stephen Pienaar was the heartbeat of the team, but it was scorer Katlego Mfela who stole the show. The Sowetan says it was a warm welcome for new South African coach Pitso Mosimane and a bad reminder for Ghana of their unlucky exit in the World Cup to Uruguay at the same venue. The Gulf News reports that the England and Wales Cricket Board has warned Kevin Pietersen off having any more meetings with the suspended head of the Indian Premier League, Lalit Modi. The Daily Nation from Kenya reports on a school football match that had to be abandoned after a pitch invasion. The National from Abu Dhabi says the US PGA tournament in Wisconsin is wide open.
You're watching Sky World News on our website skynews.com. A life and death struggle as a polar bear attacks 2 campers. Still ahead, more than 1 billion Muslims begin the holy month of Ramadan. And in sport, find out how the World Cup winners fared on their first outing since lifting the trophy.
Hello, it's time for the sports headlines. Fabio Capello has apparently announced the end of David Beckham's international football career after saying the former captain was now a little old to help the team try to qualify for the European Championships in 2014. World Cup winners Spain have scraped a 1-1 draw with Mexico in their first outing since lifting the trophy. And US Ryder Cup captain Corey Pavin has denied he's guaranteed Tiger Woods a wildcard entry to the competition, but says he wants the world #1 to play himself into contention.
And central Britain will have a showery start with some more prolonged rain in places. And those showers will extend down across most of Britain during the morning, although the southwest will stay mainly dry. Northern Scotland will see some more prolonged rain returning around midday. Ireland, meanwhile, will catch a few showers, but most places there will stay dry. This is Sky World News. Let's take another look at some of our top stories.